Welcome, everyone. My name is Kim Larson. I'm a client success manager here at Luminoso. Today, I'm joined by Mari Espinosa, who's calling in from Ecuador. Mari, do you want to introduce yourself and what you do at Luminoso now?
Yeah, of course. I'm Mari, and I joined the Luminoso team to connect organizations and help find solutions to problems that clients have.
Awesome. So we'll be going over some of those potential problems, like not understanding the terminology that employees might be bringing up that maybe management doesn't know what they mean. We'll go over 3 terms today that are related to glass things, since those are topics that may come up in Voice of the Employee program, may not be common knowledge in the executive suite. So the first topic that we'll be going over is the idea of a glass cannon. So a glass cannon is a person or a character or persona that can deliver a lot of damage but cannot receive the same sort of feedback back. So they can deal a lot, they can do a lot, but they're very sensitive. This is a term that was coined out of the Dungeons and Dragons community. This is a picture of Gary Gygax. He wrote the book on Dungeons and Dragons back in 1974, and that is the history of glass cannon. Mari, what sort of parallels do you have to this idea in Ecuador?
So we don't have any weaponry emails for this term, but we do have a boxing metaphor, which is like you can give a good punch, but you can't receive one. And it's used very commonly in the business settings or between friends. But yeah, we don't have a term quite like this one.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like this is a book that was coined in the 70s for a very specific community that's kind of scaled out elsewhere. Cool. So the second glass thing that we'll be covering today, probably more common knowledge, is this idea of a glass ceiling or the mirage of opportunity. This was a term that came from Marilyn Loden. She coined the phrase about 40 years ago. She did an interview about it on the BBC. Highly recommend looking that up and checking it out. So she used the term initially with a panel discussion where the female panelists focused on their personal deficiencies of socialization and were pretty self-deprecating. And Marilyn Loden identified that that wasn't necessarily the cause for them not being promoted, and identified some biases within the existing male executive suite as a barrier. So any parallels to the glass ceiling that you're aware of in Ecuador?
We actually have the crystal ceiling. So it's the same thing, but the literal translation is crystal ceiling. And in the US, it's mainly about like women or like certain demographics where you use the glass ceiling. But in Ecuador, it can be that, or it can also be like a lack of network. So if you're not connected, it's a lot harder to go up in an organization than it is if you are.
The next concept is the glass cliff. So this is a newer concept. Now that we have more diversity in the executive suite, there's this perception of, okay, they've broken through the glass ceiling, and this extends that metaphor to something called the glass cliff. So this is a term coined back in 2005 by British professors Michelle Ryan and Alexander Haslam at the University of Exeter. In the study, they examined the performance of FTSE 100 companies before and after the appointment of new board members, and found that companies that appointed women to their boards were likelier than others to have experienced consistently bad performance in the preceding 5 months. So it's this idea of a promotion that someone could not decline. These marginalized folks, women, they're not qualified to be running the executive suite because when they do, they fail. But there was an existing context about the prior performance to their nominations that could explain that difference and that discrepancy there.
I don't think we've quite broken the glass ceiling yet to reach the glass cliff in Ecuador, but I think this kind of reminds me of a lot of things going on in the tech space in the US with appointments of new CEOs there.
We do have a few tech CEOs that may fall into this pattern. Yeah. But if you and your audience need to dive into your employee experiences and understand your employee stories to figure out if any of these are being identified within your own work cultures, please reach out to Mari and discuss your objectives and needs, and she'll work with you and identify and develop a Luminoso solution so that we both can look forward to speaking with you soon. So thanks for watching. Like and share and subscribe to this video on our channel, and we'll see you in the next one.